Today, I'm thrilled to feature Michael Topping, a rising star in the jazz world, a bassist who brings incredible artistry to both electric and acoustic bass. He's a graduate of William Paterson University, where he studied under the great Steve La Spina. Michael's already making his mark with performances at great venues like the Django, and he's known for his stunning, long lyrical solos and quickly becoming one of the most exciting voices in the jazz community. So, Michael, good to see you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. So, we've gotten the opportunity to work together. You're making your mark on the scene, unquestionably. Let's talk a little bit about performing. So, what do you think the most challenging thing is about performing live? Even though, we love what we do and everything, and I'm sure you love it just as much as me. What's the most challenging part, you think?
That's a good question. Um, I'd say for me, I want to say staying focused
Hmm.
on the music. I it's I sort of noticed early on from early days of trying to play music, going to like jam sessions and there being a TV in the bar. You know, you're trying to play a blues. Um, this is when I would have been like 14 or 15 or so, so just beginning to play music. And going to a jam and seeing a TV and just being so distracted with what was on it. And I think since then being very aware that it's easy to zone out um, when I'm playing.
You were
And
going
I
to
think
jam sessions at 14 years old at like
uh,
bars?
about yeah, I got I was very lucky. So I grew up in Boulder, Colorado, and moved out here for college. But I was very lucky to um, be around some teachers that were uh, hosting jam sessions and very open to having students come out and um, play at them and just get their feet wet and learn how to play this music.
Well, I'm
Um,
sure you were one of the youngest, people there, though, right? I mean, everyone must have been much older.
yes, yeah. I mean, there was a lot of there was of course like professionals, people in their 30s and onwards. Um, and also like a lot of college students, because Boulder has the University of Colorado, which has a good jazz program. Um, yeah, not a whole other lot of people my age, though I will say after I started going, more and more of my friends would come out. So there would always be at one or two of us, young high school students in the audience, um, playing on these things.
That's
Um,
so cool.
yeah, very great, very wonderful that we were put up
Yeah, well,
with
and you
all.
you said that the hardest part for you is just maintaining that focus, but in order to play jazz and improvise, you have to let go too. So,
Yes.
how do you navigate that? Is I suppose is do you maybe consciously tell yourself like, okay, like just listen or something like that? Or is it more just like you need, you focus on the way the other person who you're accompanying is playing? How do you navigate that?
Yeah, I think it's more the idea of not focusing on things outside of the bandstand. To me, it's like staying focused on the music that's happening. Um, and I'm trying more and more to be better at listening, and to be better at listening to the whole band at once. So that's yeah, it is an interesting idea of staying focused and staying like playing the right chords and keeping the form and all that, but also yeah, how do you let yourself just like relax into the music and just like hear it? Um, and I don't know if I have an answer to how I do that.
Well,
If I even do that.
it's easier said than done, that's for
Yeah.
sure. I think if you, and once you commit, you commit. Do you think that your 14-year-old self who was at those jam sessions would be proud of where you are today?
Yeah, almost definitely. Yeah, absolutely. Um, probably think it was incredibly cool. Um, I mean, being not even just being in the New York area and all the amazing music and musicians out here, but just I think just that I'm still playing music. My 14-year-old self would just be like, "Yeah, it's pretty cool. That's
No,
great."
definitely. And the New York area is not for, you got to be strong-minded to be out here. It's
Yeah,
there's so many musicians, and everyone's trying to play. And there are many reasons someone would call a bass player to be in their band. So what do you think it is about your playing, or what do you hope that's the reason that keeps the phone ringing on a musical level as far as your approach?
well, I hope that that I can it, musically take care of business. In that I mean, like, play in time, play the notes that I need to play, and not get sidetracked with trying to be too fancy or um, uh, playing, anything that's too self-indulgent. Um, so hopefully that's why people are calling me because I will keep a groove and provide what the music needs in that moment.
Sure. And you're saying I want to get things done, and I know my what my role is on this instrument. I'm here
Yeah,
to make the band sound good and to support and groove and play the
yeah,
right notes.
exactly.
And as far as the improvisational part, when you're playing your solos, a lot of musicians have their idea if it's emotional, technical, or even spiritual. Sometimes, I mean, like for instance, I was practicing last night, and the music almost comes through you. It can be spiritual in a sense. So, do you think about any of those three things: the emotion, the technique, or, the spiritual side of playing a solo?
That's a good question. I'm not actually sure that I do. It's it's funny. I'm trying to think of what do I think of when I solo or play at all. And I think I feel like lately it's just been sound, which feels a little I don't know, feels a little obvious to say like,
No,
"Oh, I'm playing."
you're saying you're playing what you hear in the moment, and that's letting.
Yeah. I don't know that I'm particularly um giving it a strong I don't know that I've been trying to portray emotions with it. I don't know that I've been. I mean, in a given song, if a song is particularly um, uh, sad or happy, has a tone to it, maybe it has lyrics, I'll probably try to honor that somehow. Um, I feel like if I'm playing over, say, like Body and Soul or something like that, it's going to hopefully have a sound that relates to that song and to what I feel the meaning of that song is. But I can't say I'm like sitting there going, um, I'm going to make this sound melancholy. I'm going to make
Yeah,
this
well,
sound
I think it's
mournful.
something like you kind of like almost an after, you think about it maybe afterwards sometimes, like, oh, like I was feeling like, or something.
Yes.
Uh,
Well, okay, that is fair. There are times when I may be feeling a bit more rambunctious than other times, and that comes through for sure.
yeah.
Uh, the playing gets maybe a little bit more aggressive or um, sillier, maybe more like slides um, or whatnot. That's true. That being silly is an emotion, so I
Yeah.
think that counts.
Well, I mean, it's also a loaded question too.
Yeah,
It's fun to dig deeper and think about these things. And you're still getting your career started. You're a little younger than me. So you really have your whole career ahead of you. And that's not to say like that's not to discount the way you play now or anything like that. That's just like there's so much
Yeah,
to look
of course.
forward to.
Yes.
Um, so let's fast forward 15, 20 years. Where do you hope to be? Or, do you want to maybe just be a sideman, like playing with like a big name? Do you want to be doing more things like musicals? Because that's another thing people like to do. Do you want to be um, just doing more things, just a sideman for a lot of different people? Like, where do you see yourself in, let's say, 15, 20 years or something?
Yeah. That's I that's an interesting question to try to answer because I've been people have always advised me and suggested that and by people I mostly mean my dad, has always been on me to set goals. I feel like I hear a lot of people saying, imagine yourself in this in a situation that you want, and picture yourself doing that, and then take the steps to achieve that. And the example that I had always heard was like, imagine yourself playing in Carnegie Hall, and then keep that image in your head and make the moves to achieve it. And I feel like I don't particularly have like playing in Carnegie Hall, while it would be very cool and amazing, is not necessarily like a career goal. And in that sense, I don't know that I have one besides I want to be playing music. So in a sense, where do I want to be in 15 years? Well, I still want to be playing music, and I want to be playing music. I want to be playing music that I like with people that I like. Um, and I think largely that means being a sideman. Because I really love coming into other people's gigs and trying to figure out how to play it um, as well as I can. Uh, I would love to be playing more original music. I would love it's. I always have a really great time coming into someone's music that they've written and figuring out how I fit into that, figuring out how I can bring out, as much of the music that I can. Um, and I'd love to be. It's a good question. So I have, besides playing jazz, I also really enjoy playing with singer-songwriters and more in an indie rock genre. So I would love to be doing um, more of that as well. Um, it would be great if I can find myself in a position where I can combine everything that I love about playing jazz as well as everything that I love about playing um, more of a rock sort of direction. Um, or somehow keep it balanced. Some people do that. Um, uh, what else? There was one more thing I was gonna add to that. Um,
Well, you mentioned the jazz sideman and being able to play
yeah,
singer-songwriter, accompany them and other people's music to, get inside some new stuff.
yeah. Um, and also at some point it would be nice to lead my own band, whether
Yeah,
or not
definitely.
lead my own band, but have my own project of some sort. I would love to. I mentioned indie sort of stuff, and I have a big love of like basement recording sort of stuff. There's like a lot of music that was just like some guy bought like a easy recording, or not an easy but like a simple budget recording system, and made a track in his basement 30 years ago,
Right.
and it sounds great. It has such a unique sound to it and feels very personal. And I would love to do like um, like a bedroom recording project of some sort where I can just really focus in on tones and sounds and that sort of thing. Um, I think in the next 15 years, at, at least, I feel like all three of those things should be achievable.
Definitely. I mean, and I like how you said, I don't know if Carnegie Hall is necessarily a career goal, but I think some people like they have their mind on that one thing. Oh, I want to just play at Carnegie Hall, or if you're a jazz musician, oh, I want to play at the Blue Note, or I want to. But I think what you said, which was really the what makes an artist the a real artist is they just want to be doing it, whether it's
Yeah.
and I think that's the most important thing. So what do you as far as recordings and things like that, what are you drawing inspiration from in like the last couple of months or last year, if anything that you're listening to that's hitting you pretty hard?
Yeah. Let me look at my. This is one of those questions that it's like it's the same thing as like, oh, what tune do you want to play? And as someone asks you, everything goes out of your head.
You have to actually look.
Yeah. Well, so I keep. Let's see. What have I been listening to? Um, let's see. What's like the last? Let me think of like the last five or so albums that have really grabbed me. Um, it's interesting. It's not gonna be a lot of jazz stuff. There will be one or two. Um, let's see. I've been recently really enjoying a Courtney Burnett album called "Sometimes I Sit and Think, Sometimes I Just Sit," which is uh, uh, more of is an indie record. Um, do you want me to list them all first, or go into what's interesting me about it?
Well, let's start there. What is it about that you like the most about that recording?
There's a few things. First off, musically, I love the music on it. It's everything that I love about like a rock band. It's big and loud. Um, it's got fun guitar pedals, um,
You
which
don't
is
discriminate between rock and roll and jazz. You like rock and roll, and that I
oh,
love.
love it. Yeah. I mean, again, sort of not the my in jazz and in rock, my listening is I think very strange and niche, just in the sense that I don't know a whole ton of like the classic rock stuff, but whatever interests me.
Yeah, I mean,
And
like I'm a jazz musician. I love Deep Purple. I don't think there's too many jazz musicians out there who like really know some of these random Deep Purple albums, but that's what I grew up with. So,
oh yeah, I love it. Um, yeah, and I grew up listening to all sorts of stuff. So there's a big I think what draws me is um I like eclecticness.
mhm.
That's a big thing. That I like. Let's see. So that also Courtney Barnett's lyrics, I think are great. She's very rhythmic, and has I enjoy her rhyme schemes. The lines land in very satisfying ways. Um, what else? What else have I been listening to that I really like? Oh, I found a CD at a CD sale a little while ago called Broken Shadows, which is uh, Broken Shadows was sort of a tribute project by Tim Byrne, Chris Speed, Reed Anderson, and Dave King.
Oh,
To,
wow.
um, it was a tribute to, uh, if I remember that, Ornette Coleman, Julius Hemphill, and Dewey Redman.
Wow.
And so it's the four of them playing songs by those three saxophonists. Um, which has been one of my favorites. I actually got to see that band at the Vanguard a few years ago, and was enjoyed it immensely.
I also wanted to ask you too, who inspires you most in terms of jazz bass players from the history, from the masters? I'm kind of curious.
Yeah. Well, the first big one was Ray Brown for sure. I had back early on when I was starting bass. Back this would have been again like 13 or 14. we had asked um, one of my teachers at the time, who was leading, I think, a class I was in. He was a drummer, and I had asked him like, oh, what bass player should I be checking out? Who should I be listening to? And he said, pauses for a moment and goes, Ray Brown, man, man, Ray Brown, man. If you can sound like Ray Brown, man, you'll be great, man. Ray Brown.
That's so
So,
mature for you to ask him and say at like 13, 14 to say what bass player should I be checking out?
well, well, my dad was there. He helped. Uh, he yeah, I was lucky to have parents that were very supportive of me playing music, and so a lot
Totally.
of getting started
Totally.
was them being like, go ask a question. Go, I'll bring you to this. Go talk to. Which I had never had any issue talking to these musicians who um most of them seemed to be very happy to help someone start out. So Ray Brown was one. Um, uh, Ron Carter. I've always loved Ron Carter, especially on. I mean, all of Ron Carter is fantastic. I won't be the first bassist to complain a little bit about his amp tone, 80s onwards, but the playing is still incredible. But especially Ron Carter on like the period of albums he was in the 60s. I just love that playing so much, and I love the I know it's not necessarily I don't know if it's his doing or not, but I love the recording quality of them.
Yeah.
I
I
think
was just
how
listening to Ron last night on the
oh
Miles
great.
Davis, the My Funny Valentine concert.
Oh yeah, fantastic. Oh yeah, great performance. Um I mean his the tone on it is so clear and you can hear I feel like he brings so much propulsion and direction to the music. One of my favorite quotes too that I've heard described about him in that band um, is that in Miles's second quintet, he's the one that remembers where they parked the car, um, which I've always loved. I haven't dove into that music enough to know how truly accurate that is, but that's carried through. I think on my bass playing is being the one who sort of says, "Oh no, guys, we need to turn left on this street. Like, hang on, y'all. We should, um, hang on. I think we're going the wrong way. We need to come back a little bit, or something like that." I feel like that's been that in particular has been, I think, a big influence on how I approach the instrument and playing in a band.
Yeah, and I'll say this about you too, because I notice little things as well, and this is just on a personal level. Like the last time we played, like like we were doing like this gig, and we were playing, we were gonna try to play some like pop tunes, like with like more of like a, you know, like pedal tone vibe and
Mm,
stuff. And I told you like, oh, this is what we're gonna. And you're like, I just remember you said great, and you had a smile, like, but some people, if a bass player was like, or okay, or I don't know that, but I just, because what I said was pretty clear, and then you're like, you seemed like, yeah, I'm down, let's do it.
yeah, but yeah, especially if it's one chord, I can do that.
Yeah,
If we're playing an E flat the whole time, I don't have to remember the other chords. Like, hey, that works for
exactly.
me. Um, but yeah, I mean, I'm almost, especially if the um, whoever's leading the gig can explain what it is clearly. I'm so down.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, we got to wrap things up, but this has been great. I mean, it's a pleasure to talk to you like this, and and a pleasure to work with you. I'm sure we'll be doing it.
Thank you. Yes, hope so.
Yeah, definitely. So where can everybody find you in terms of your social media and stuff like that? You wanna?
Well, I'm not super active on social medias, and I don't have a website or anything yet, but hopefully will change before too long. But you can find me on Instagram. That's probably where I'm the most active, and uh, my username is really the first thing I could think of, which is Michael Topping Bass.
That's easy to remember.
Yes, just my name, Michael Topping with bass at the end.
Yes, sir. Well, this is great, Michael. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Great. Thank you so much for having me on.
Of course, man.